All right, so this is my presentation, cute name, A Pirate Problem. This is about the lack of BIPOC representation amongst faculty and staff at Cypress High School. So if you're not familiar, BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color, and that's kind of the term I'm going to be using to refer to all non-white faculty and staff at Cypress. So a little intro. So the purpose of the study is to analyze the reasons for the turnover rate of BIPOC faculty and staff at Cypress High School. Um, so this is something that I recognize in my own time working here, right? And, it was interesting to see why, people were leaving, hired to be secretaries, to be teachers. And it looked to me at least, right, that a lot of the BIPOC faculty were leaving and at a rate a lot faster than the other faculty. So this study is timely because currently the student demographic is 53-47% for minoritized populations to white students. So we are a minority majority school. While the faculty and staff makeup is only 13% for BIPOC representation. So when I was actually doing these numbers for faculty, like teachers, the percentage is actually 8%. But I wanted to add in secretaries, different support staff, and our family center. And so when I added those in, that brought it up to 13%. So the question is, the continued lack of representation in school, faculty and staff, it needs to be brought to light, right? Especially in schools like Cypress, where we are minority and majority, and the gap keeps growing, right? So that's kind of a background intro. Like I said, Cypress is continually growing. We are actually one of the largest schools in the state. Right now, I believe our population is about 2,800, and of course projected to grow. We are a minority majority school, and it's going to continue moving in that direction. But on the contrast, Cypress is in Magna, and Magna is very much a small town feel with big city problems. I believe Magna is the last township to be designated a city, and that only happened last year, right? So we have this big growth spurt happening in this city that's kind of a small town. And like I said, the quick turnover of BIPOC faculty and staff was something that I was noticing and talked to about with other people and kind of noticed the same trend, right? And because of this, and because of the town changing how it is, I would say another thing observed is that the school does have a lack of connection with this new Magna community, new Cypress community, right? The demographic is changing. The majority of our minority students are like Hispanic, Latino, right? Whereas old Magna is a lot of like old white people. And they have strong ties to the school, strong ties to community. And I don't want to count that part out, but we have definitely a lack of connection to the new community that is here, which is now the majority. Why is this important? Because studies have shown that BIPOC students have more success in schools with representation, right? If they have teachers, staff that look like them, this can improve everything from attendance to behavior and discipline. These teachers and staff members tend to have a higher belief in student success, right? They know that these students can learn, can be successful, and they also hold them to higher expectations, right? We have ML students that sometimes they get pushed to the side and they're just passed along because they don't know English and we feel sorry for them. So we're going to let them, pass doing minimal work. Whereas when we have people that come from those communities, they know, hey, these people can learn. I did it. We hold them to higher standards. I don't know if you've seen Removed Tie-ins, but exactly that, we don't want to baby these people, this demographic. We want to hold them to high standards and we want them to be successful. And that has been proven to be more likely to happen when we do have BIPOC staff and faculty. So we have two research questions here. One, what factors contribute to the high turnover rate for BIPOC faculty and staff at Cypress High School? And two, what factors contribute to retention of that faculty and staff at Cypress High School? I know it seems a little redundant, but I'm going to kind of go in and explain why it's important that we see both sides, right? Like what are the turnover rates and what do help people stay? I think information from both sides is equally important. So of course, saw my problem, started looking at a lot of literature about it. And this is something that I've been looking at since our very first semester, right? What I've read so far, I think can kind of be broken down into three main categories. And we're looking at like, you know, minority faculty, turnover rate, that type of thing. And so the three big themes that came up were one, the effects of isolation on faculty of color. Two, the like responsibility, faculty of color overburdened by the responsibility of all things DEI. And I know I might need to change that wording. And three, the effects of hostile work environments from coworkers, parents, and students. So for isolation, for example, we were talking about, you know, if you're the only person of color in your department or in your building, what that does, right? How that negatively affects retention. There's been some articles talking about the high overturn rate, right? When you are the only person in your school. There's negative effects of even having a decrease in pay. There's articles that study on like, oh, if you're in a race congruent school or not, like you're going to have less opportunity to do more activities or have more responsibilities that may lead to increase in pay. And on the reverse side, working with the mentor shows positive benefits, right? When you do have somebody that can help you navigate that field and can give you those opportunities to learn and grow. And also on the respects of isolation, like there's several articles that talk about the need of support for the faculty's community, right? So if the school shows support for the community in which they come from, they, of course, also feel supported, and it's just the whole community growth, right? Being overburdened by the responsibility of all things DEI, there is a lot of tokenism going on in these articles, right? We talk about what that effect has, right? When you're recruited to be the face of diversity, when the system is not even set up to support diversity, right? But we want to show off, like, hey, here's our person that speaks Spanish. Here's our Black coach. We want to show off this diversity card, right? And then, of course, BIPOC faculty are put in charge normally of cultural clubs and other activities automatically. And it's not saying that they don't want it, but when you're the only one in your school, right, they're going to put all of that on you. And of course, we want them to be speaker for viewpoints on different policies, right? Oh, Ms. Yazzie, well, tell us about what a Mexican standpoint, Hispanic, Latino, what indigenous people think about this. And hey, I don't know, maybe we should ask more people, right? So these can all be contributing factors to faculty and staff deciding that it's not worth it to stay where they're at, right? And then, of course, effects of hostile work environments. There's a really good article that I've explored more the terminology on called, where they talk about an effect called white blinders, which is basically this phenomenon of ignoring when racial microaggressions or just straight up events happen because they don't want to admit to the racism or anything, right? So they're going to have a higher threshold to sensing it. And of course, that's like gaslighting at its full effect, right? And then, of course, our work environment expectations feed into the hidden agenda. Schools are white Anglo systems, and they're meant for that, right? We're going to turn out good U.S. citizens. And so when you don't fit that, you're going to be told, hey, you're not professional. You don't dress right. That's not how we do things. And this can definitely take a toll on especially new faculty and staff or people that aren't conforming to it, and just makes for a terrible workplace. All right, how are we going to approach this? So we're going to do a phenomenological qualitative study. We're focusing on the phenomenon of being a BIPOC faculty and staff in the school system. So that's kind of why we chose that. It's purposeful sampling. I am going to be looking for faculty and staff at Cypress High School. I'm looking for 6 to 8 participants. And I'm going to utilize snowball sampling to help find people who have left in previous years. I want to get both sides of the story. The setting will be at Cypress High School in Magna. My interviews are going to take place at school and in the surrounding areas as well as over Zoom. We're going to start with the demographic questionnaire. There are 4 main faculty and staff areas that I want to get. So I'm looking at faculty like teachers and stuff, student support, the secretaries, and family center. I want at least one representative from each of those categories. And like I said, 6 to 8. These are going to be semi-structured interviews, 45 minutes with each participant. There will be 1 to 2 interviews depending on if we get through all the questions. Each interview will be recorded, transcribed, and coded. And the code book will be initially based on themes from the lit review, like we talked about. Triangulation and member checking will be utilized to ensure internal validity. And I'm hoping to coerce 1 to 2 people to help participate in coding to help, put myself in check with this. This is my proposed timeline. I'm hoping to finish this proposal and defend by the end of summer semester. And through August and September, school's going to start. I'm going to recruit the participants, gain informed consent, conduct interviews, transcribe, and analyze. As you know, this qualitative study, it's going to be changing as the information comes. So it's going to be important that I transcribe and analyze as it comes. So October through December, we are going to keep with the interviews, finish them up, keep transcribing, analyzing. I want to create a code book for coding, recruit the coders, hopefully, and perform member checking throughout this. January, I'm hoping to be done by the end of first semester of school. We'll analyze the data collected, perform follow-up as needed with the different participants, and giving them back what we've analyzed to make sure that we did get the correct information. And February through March, I'm going to be working on these drafted findings, working with my committee to produce a final draft and hopefully be ready to defend by April if everything goes correctly. Some potential limitations are, my own positionality in it. I got to be aware and curtail my own bias when I'm in the study, as it's like directly related to me and I know what I want to find. So I don't want to be misrepresented with the actual findings. It could be a shortcoming to focus on the study only at one school because, people want to use this in the future. It might only be something that we find at Cypress. So that could be a shortcoming of this. If I only get currently employed faculty and staff to participate, we're going to be missing the voices of those who left and are leaving. So I just want to make sure I get those vital voices. And next steps. My goal is to provide feedback to Cypress and to Granite School District on my findings and hopefully propose changes that can happen to practice and hiring. Of course, that could lead to retention of BIPOC faculty in schools and hopefully better outcomes for the community in general. And if nothing else, I want to help create support groups or provide needs expressed by participants in the study, even if it's got to be outside of, official Cypress or Granite School District. So that's all I got. Thank you very much. And hopefully we can do something right.